Yeah, we're not. You're asking, do you move them in there? Grumpy dude.
Green and gold.
Being a
My branch area. I can, but the problem is if I mute them, like you guys have to do it, and I have to buy additional attachments. Otherwise, if I can.
I assume that U12 team.
Muted Jeff, and then all of a sudden Jeff starts talking. I'm like, wait.
They are, yes, they are.
Guessing the attachments.
Oh, no. Skipping this one.
The other two stay
Stay
with us. It's just easier if they take the one and the other two stay. And then the next week, Emery's goes down.
Okay.
So then
I muted you. There. I have yours off now.
2 weekend trips.
Is his still off?
It's off.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
I'm holding on to that. It's hurting my ears.
Okay by me. Grandkids for the weekend, so.
Sure. I get that. But, oh, that's a lot of travel. That's a lot of soccer.
This is interesting, Jenny. I'm actually watching the video feed at the same time.
Chelsea will wave when she gets up there.
Did she say how many minutes? Oh, they got turned off again. Mine got
Just
turned-
yours, because that was hurting my ears.
I was holding my hand over,
I know, it was making noise.
which probably is wrong too.
It's all wrong.
Don't do this.
I got that from you. You're the one who told us to stick them behind.
Well, yeah, that way it doesn't catch as much.
I hear Mandy.
She doesn't have her tennis shoes on.
Welcome.
Hello. Let us know when you're ready, Mandy. All right. Let's bring our October 28th City Council work session to order. And we will turn it over to Chelsea, I believe.
Thank you. Okay, so tonight's work session topic is strategic plan, goal setting, review, and discussion. So just a reminder, back in November of 2023, we had a facilitator come in and kind of, you can't hear me? Is that better? All right. We had a facilitator come in November of 2023 and help us strategize and work on prioritizing the city council's goals for both the next 2 years, and then we lumped another group of items in a 3 to 10 year category. So what I like to do is try to do a goal setting session every 2 years with an actual outside facilitator, and then in between years, just review the report and talk about progress we've made and if anything's changed since we finalized that report. And can you guys hear me fine now? Okay, all right. So we'll get started. I want to go through that report tonight, talk about progress that we've made, kind of talk about that process that we run every year, and see what kind of feedback we get from the council. Okay, so the council identified 5 goals during our session last year, and those 5 goals were to be completed within the next 2 years. So these are really the council's priorities for the next 2 year period, and we kind of start this in January of 2024. This will run through December 2025.
Staff and council, right?
Council is the only one that voted on the priorities. The staff did participate in the questionnaire that we put out ahead of that session, but these are the council's priorities. Priority 1, regional park project, and then this was lumped into 2 different categories: identify funding for completion of the park and initiate development of the regional park. The second priority was to install a traffic signal at 3rd Street and Broadway. The third priority was competitive wages for city employees, and this was broken into two separate categories: conduct a wage analysis and implement wage adjustments in city budget. The fourth priority was completing, is in relation to the downtown assessment study that we had completed by IEDA. If you remember that, a couple of years ago, we brought in the Downtown Resource Center at IEDA to just kind of do a walkthrough and have a public participation component for the town square. So two things: prioritize findings in the downtown assessment study completed by the Downtown Resource Center, and implement facade improvement program. And then the fifth priority was conducting a library facility study or conduct a feasibility study for the library. Okay, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the council's first priority, which is the regional park project. Let's talk about the progress we've made since November 2023, and then if you have anything that you would like to add, we'll have an opportunity for you to share. But we have made a lot of progress on this particular priority. We've conducted and completed a feasibility study on support of the project throughout town. So if you recall, we hired a third-party consultant, Renaissance Group, and they conducted a feasibility study, which you all got a report on this summer, on how people would or would not support the park project. So that's one of the things that we've completed. We entered into an agreement with Nat Properties for mass grading of the park and Big Creek Commons subdivision. We entered into an agreement for a capital campaign with Renaissance Group, and the council requested that the regional park project be placed on the November ballot for consideration of the public. So we've made some good progress on here. Does anybody have anything to add on this topic? So the next thing I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about is I think we'll know next week if the public is supportive of the city borrowing $10 million for the project. It is my understanding that if this does not pass, the council wants to talk about a phased approach to the project. Is that still accurate? Okay. So my intention then would be, if for some reason it doesn't pass next week, I will bring forth a phased approach to the project. I don't know what that looks like because we've not started working on that, but that is my understanding of what the council wishes that we do.
So do you want council members to say, yes, that's what we want to do?
I just saw
or did you
lots of,
interpret the
I saw lots of
nods?
heads nodding, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. So I've done this kind of both ways with goal setting and then strategizing with a CIP. And we kind of ran these two programs concurrently. So 3rd Street and Broadway traffic signal, you all said that was a 2-year priority, but when we did the rankings for the CIP, it landed in fiscal year 2028, which is beyond the 2-year timeframe that we initially put in. Are you still all okay with that?
Can I ask a question if you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Proceed.
So, Chelsea, one of the things I noticed when I was looking back on this goal setting document, I totally forgot that we had that in the next 2 years. I don't recall us referring to our goal setting document when we did CIP. Did I overlook that, or did we not review our goal setting document when we did CIP?
I don't know that we reviewed the document, but we added some of that information to the narrative, the project narrative, if, you know, it had previously been a goal of the council's. I think the goal setting is a really great exercise to go through. I think the CIP is more of your binding document because you're talking about how to finance the project. But that's totally up to the council on how you want to handle that. I kind of go by the CIP though, because it's a more formal process that you walk through.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it's a reasonable thing to do, to bring this back up attention when we do go through our CIP priorities, but.
Okay. Third priority, competitive wages for city employees. So just to give you all an update, this is in process. The presentation of the compensation study, which we've hired a third-party consultant for, will be at the December 9th work session. And we hired Hinson Consulting to do that compensation study and plan, and he will be presenting at the December 9th work session. So just wanted to give you an update. This one's in process. We'll have our second meeting on this plan this week. So we're on schedule to still have this completed by the end of the year. Okay, downtown assessment study. This one has a lot of different components to it, but the goal was downtown assessment study, prioritize findings in the downtown assessment study. So if you reference back that study that was completed by the Downtown Resource Center, there are a lot of items in that study. It's my recollection that the city council said, let's do a master plan for downtown and we can prioritize what projects come out of that. So the downtown master plan is in the CIP for fiscal year 2027. Another part of this priority was adopting the downtown or the town square incentive support program, which you all approved this past spring. And we are still taking applications for people wanting to participate in that program. We have received one application to date, and probably need to do a better job advertising that. But you've checked off one of those two boxes. I would say that based off of guidance you've all given in the past is we get through that town square master plan and we start working at some items that were identified in the downtown assessment study. Are you still all good with that?
I am. I don't think it's wrong to target some places, and I know, so to kind of include a earlier conversation with the trailhead piece that Stacy's going to facilitate from a Polk City standpoint. I'm super excited about the grant that we've got, but and to make that something that's something we can be proud of. I know it's a glorified parking lot, whatever, but doing it in a way that beefs up the area, but then also message that to specifically some of the corresponding businesses that benefit there and talk to them about, everybody's going to benefit from this new trailhead and parking lot. There are a few businesses that are going to benefit more than others, and a few that, quite frankly, are as close to eyesores as we have in town. And so trying to encourage them, whether it's this route or on their own or whatever, to make improvements. I think there's some, places that need to change hands or whatever. But anything that we can do, it doesn't necessarily just have to be reactive, in my opinion, on this program. If we want to proactively have conversations with where we think the most benefit could be. If it doesn't go anywhere, we're in the same position that we're in now. If it does, then even better. So, my 2 cents.
Okay. Last thing, library facilities study. I looked back at notes from our goal setting session, and I think what was being asked was having a schematic that the library board could fundraise for. So we do have a schematic plan or a public schematic design plan in the CIP for fiscal year 2028. So again, just letting you all know that back when we did goal setting, a little bit more informal. You don't necessarily have financing components in front of you right then and there when you're making decisions, but we've worked it into the CIP for fiscal year 2028. So I think that you all have a lot to be proud of. I think we're tracking along in the right direction and trying to meet some of those 5 priorities that you've set in place. Kind of wanted to touch base on those tonight and see if anybody had anything to add, though. Okay. A reminder then, so the council was also asked at the goal setting session to prioritize items that fell in the 3 to 10 year category. So these were the 5 items that made it into the 3 to 10 year category. And again, we could do goal setting next year. Some of these things make it, some of them don't. It just kind of depends on where the council's priorities are at the time. Police station construction. Reminder, this is not in our next CIP. This fell outside of the fiscal year 2030. Library expansion, rec center facility. This also did not make the CIP, but it's in the 3 to 10 year priority list of the council. Communication plan and marketing strategy to make Polk City a bike trail town in conjunction with the Polk City Junction Trail Project. Add more commercial development, regional park planning and construction. And this was specific to building out the full regional park. So what's on the ballot next month is to do, kind of phase 1, but it's a priority of the council then to figure out how to fund the remaining components of the regional park project. Does anybody have any comments or questions about those 5 items? Okay, want to spend a little time talking about this tonight as well. I think it's so important to set goals and evaluate your goals. I'm sure that everybody that works outside of the city of Polk City does the same thing in their day-to-day job. It's just important to measure where you're at as an organization. So what I'm kind of curious about, this was the 3rd facilitator that we've used in the last, 5-year period to do goal setting and strategic planning in Polk City. I would like to hear what you like about the process. So looking for some feedback on what you might like about the process. We'll talk about what maybe you don't like about the process. And if you have any preference for the facilitators we've used 3 different facilitators since we've been doing this in 5 years. So just kind of looking for some feedback from the council here. What do you like about the process that we've done with goal setting?
First of all, I like that we've done it. It's hugely valuable to kind of lay out all of the ideas, the priorities, and work through that. It has been a big process to go through, but I do like that we go through it and that we take the time to kind of put everything on the table.
Yeah, I think it's been a valuable exercise. I do kind of wonder on the timing. End of the year is nice because it's directly, I was interested to see how you turned up Mandy's microphone when she was talking, so I'll take that as a compliment. You turned up my microphone. I thought you were gonna turn it down. Preceding the budget helps. I think maybe getting away from some of the other things that were going on, maybe, I don't know. Something maybe to consider is the timing. I don't know if there is we've kind of always done it around that time frame, I think, early part of the year, this was end of November, right? So.
Okay, so maybe different timing during the year. I think, the intent would be to try to do it before you start working on your budget so that if there's something that can, work itself into the budget, that makes it easier.
Right. I don't think anything that's coming out of the goal setting should be largely in progress for that budget year, I would hope. That could be wrong, right? So But I think to Nick or Jeff's point, whoever it was, on commingling the CIP planning is a good one in the sense that, you know, they should align, and they largely do. So,
Okay,
you know,
As a freshman, it was useful for me going into the budgeting session to have this out in front of us to really outline where everybody else is on their priorities and see what we are looking at going forward. So in the run-up, it really helped me. Whether we do it earlier in the year before we even start doing budget stuff, I don't know, that could definitely be useful, I think.
and I guess one other thing, now, if you go back to that previous slide, we are so I mean, this is 3 to 10 years is a wide range, but we're lumping in some very different things with construction, and then these, and the last one's construction, but the middle two bullet points around the bike trail and adding commercial developments aren't the dollar spend that the other ones are, so maybe, you know, it's logical on the police station, the library, and the regional park that we have to plan for those, the outlay of funds. What are we doing then with the other two? Like, what are we doing to commercial? I'm guessing there's a bike trail town playbook maybe from the downtown assessment or some of the projects we've been a part of, but just outlaying those a little bit different since they are kind of fundamentally different goals. They are still goals, so I'm not saying that we've got them lumped incorrectly or anything along those lines, but
yeah. And I've seen other communities do that where it's like, you know, maybe day-to-day tasks that don't have a strong financial component or requirement, and, you know, major construction projects which costs money, like doing two separate categories. So that's something we can look into. Because you guys might have, you know, quite a few more goals that there's not a financial component to, that you can get done much quicker as long as, you know, the city staff has got guidance on what those priorities are.
I do kind of like that idea. You know, again, as we're evaluating goals, some of them do have a pretty big price tag in figuring that out, but to have kind of, you know, have them work side by side, because obviously, things that are dollar wise, they also, they take staff resources, but I think too, some of them, it is more intensive on staff resources, and then there's, you know, external factors. So I think, yeah, the less dollar sign from a capital outlay, but, work projects that you can do along the way, and then prioritize those and prioritize the dollar projects. That might make it a little easier for us.
Okay. Anything outstanding that you don't like about the process we've run since you've all been a part of it now?
I don't like that we can't do it all. And there's no way, you know, we're chipping away, we're making really good progress, you know. And again, I go back to, I find value in knowing what all the needs and the goals are, because without a big list, we don't know all the needs. So, yeah, I just wish we could get it all done.
Okay, what about the facilitators we've used? So the, back in 2019, I think we used Pat Callahan, which he does consulting for municipalities, but he's retired. Back in 2021, we used Mark Jackson. He's a city administrator in Story City. And then 2023, we used Doug Bolt, the city administrator in Tiffin. I facilitated his goal setting in 2022, so he kind of did us a favor and did ours in 2023, just to save a little bit of money on not paying a consultant. So has there been anything that has stuck out to you regarding the facilitators?
I think Doug did a great job of keeping our entire process grounded and not letting us get too far out ahead of ourselves, so.
Okay.
I thought they were all three pretty interchangeable. I mean, they've all done this enough times where they have a very similar formula to get results. A little slightly different personalities, but the outcome's still the same.
One thing that I can't remember if it was Ron or Dave that gave me this feedback, they liked Mark Jackson. He did one-on-ones with all of you, like a 30-minute one-on-one with all of the staff and all of the council before we did the goal setting. And one of the other council members had told me that they liked that, so maybe that's something that we continue to implement.
Chelsea, can you help me understand what he accomplished or what the council members got out of those one-on-one sessions?
I think they just asked about our own priorities. So as I remember it, barely, because I didn't before you said that, was that I think it gave him a better understanding when he was facilitating which ones were alike and which ones weren't, based on those 30-minute conversations. So I don't know, I can't remember what else we would have talked about, but I think it was just more knowledge for the facilitator coming into the session on individual priorities. Does that
Okay, thank
smell
you.
right?
Sounds right.
I agree. Yeah, I think he looked for, it was a conversation, but he looked through themes throughout all of our conversation and then was able to help bring those to the big group meeting.
Okay. Any other feedback? You guys are making this easy tonight.
The first facilitator's retired now, you said?
Yes, he is. Yep.
So if you just do a rotation or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that. Anything else?
Is there I'm all for the former administrator or swapping scenario. Do larger communities have like a Deloitte type equivalent consultant come in and do some of these? Is there a municipal version of a larger consulting firm? And I'm not saying that we should do that. I just don't even know if they, at a higher level do that, just more out of curiosity,
Yes, and it is a much more time-consuming process. A lot of the larger communities in the metro use a national consultant. It's quite a bit more expensive to do that, but he does quarterly check-ins with the staff to ensure that, progress is made on all of the priorities. But he comes in and does like a full 2-day session with the full staff and council. So it's more of a commitment from, the elected officials and the staff, but there are national consultants that do this. And I would say you see that more in the larger communities. If that's something you're interested in, I'm certainly happy to look into it. I just know it's much more expensive.
I'm not necessarily, not afraid of spending 2 days on this if that's what we need, but I also don't know that doing this iteratively to me gets you where, had we not done it, which we hadn't prior to, I think, the time that Callahan did it, and that was more involved than these last couple times have been. So it's like anything, maintaining leads to tweaking as opposed to wholesale, building from scratch takes more time, so.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's all I've got for tonight.
Okay. Well, okay, we're gonna have some time on our hands then, aren't we? That's all right, nothing wrong with that. So I'll have a motion to adjourn
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. And any opposed, same sign. We're adjourned until 6 o'clock.